Hello everyone and welcome to the Essential Ender Chest Guide. This video will show you how to make proper use of an ender chest by filling it with the right items to make it as useful as possible. Now this might sound a little unnecessary, but bear with me. How many times have you found yourself working on a project, maybe a building or a redstone project, and you have to head all the way back to your storage chests in order to pick up some blocks that you need? Well, it happens to me a lot, and no matter how prepared I think I am, there is always something I end up needing, and I always have to journey back to my chest, which is sometimes a long way away. So the first thing I'd like to make clear is that this isn't about using your ender chest to transport building materials to where you're building. This is about making the ender chest as useful as possible, because no matter how prepared you are, there is always going to be something that you didn't anticipate, and you'll need to go and craft an item or find a particular block. So in this video I'm going to go over what I recommend putting in your ender chest and why. So the first thing to put into your ender chest, more ender chests. That's right, it may sound silly, but being able to place multiple ender chests in the area that you're working in makes it more convenient for you. You want to make it as accessible as possible, so being able to quickly grab one and move it into a new location is essential. Second of all is Silk Touch. It's always a good idea to keep a couple of tools in your ender chest, but a Silk Touch pick is a must for being able to pick up the ender chest when you are done. It's also useful for other blocks too, like ice, stone, ores, grass and other blocks you may be working with. Of course you need the Silk Touch enchantment to pick these blocks back up. So now we move on to blocks. What ones to store there and why? For the most part this is about reaching as much of the crafting tree as we can, so you can make as many things as possible and therefore more likely to be able to craft that one item you forgot to bring with you. So let's start off with some basics. Wood, cobblestone, iron and redstone. A stack of each of these will give you access to a large amount of craftable items. With a furnace you can make a charcoal to smelt cobble into stone, giving you even more options for things to craft. This includes tools too. Although you may be decked out with diamond tools and armour, a hoe is often forgotten about and can be useful at times, and the shears being especially useful for additional blocks, being able to pick up leaves and shrubbery. What you could also consider doing is replacing your wood with saplings and bones. The two could provide much more wood overall by growing trees and would provide a source of leaves or apples if you need food. You can use the bones to tame a wolf if there's one nearby, and bone meal can be used on grass to get flowers to be crafted into dyes or used for aesthetics. Grass and long grass can be grown, and seeds can be harvested and grown into wheat, then turned into bread or even hay bales for building. Next up is sand, probably more useful if you're doing an aesthetic build. Sand can give you access to 5 different sandstone blocks, glass, glass panes and its stained variants. Of course a single stack of sand is not suited for a sandstone or glass house. The idea here is that it could save you a trip if you fell short and just needed a few more sandstone blocks or a bit of glass to fill in a window. Nether quartz ore may sound like a fancy thing to include, but actually it's really useful. Not only can you craft some additional building blocks if you need them, it's also a great source of XP which you get from mining it. Granted you would need a Silk Touch pick to mine and store it in the first place, but it's worth doing and can be used to craft a daylight sensor and comparators as well. String is another useful one, although it doesn't provide much for building. If you're working on a redstone project with tripwire hooks, then it's a good idea to have some spare if you run out of tripwire. You can also make bows, dispensers and a fishing rod if you really need one. Keeping a stack of slime balls or even slime blocks can be useful. Although you're more likely to already have these if you're ever going to need them, you can make leads with string and a slime ball, which could come in useful if there's any animals nearby that you want to tie up. Next up we've got gold and diamonds. Gold is useful for a few things, mainly powered rails. It's probably not essential and you might think a diamond is even more useless, only being good for a jukebox, but because we can craft armor and tools it's extremely useful if you need to make any repairs. With the anvil accessible from the iron and the XP from the quartz, this can be a real lifesaver if your digging pick is running out. It may also be a good idea to store the diamonds as ore so you can store XP there as well. The same would be said for redstone ore too. So here we have some other items that can be worthwhile. Ice can be a great alternative to using buckets, and ender pearls are ender pearls. Obsidian can be useful if you need to get to the nether for netherrack, nether brick, soul sand or glowstone, or maybe even lava. The coal blocks can also make an excellent source of fuel for just one inventory slot, and a stack of food just in case you run out. Enchanting and repairing. Personally, I always keep supplies for enchanting in case I ever need to do some, and keeping some books and lapis in your ender chest will come in useful. If you store the lapis in ore form, it will also have XP, which can be great if you just need a few more bits of XP to level up to the next level and make that enchantment. So 2 final things to mention. Leftover space is a good thing. You don't always need to fill it all the way up to the brim with supplies, and having a little bit of space to store things that you found on your travels, like a name tag from a dungeon, in a chest is always a good thing. Second of all, if you choose to bring saplings and bone meal with you, think about what type. Not all trees drop apples, and depending on your build style it would make more sense to bring spruce saplings if you were going to build a building with spruce wood, because then if you run out, you can always grow some more and get some more spruce wood. So that's all the tips I have for you in this essential ender chest video. If you have any of your own, be sure to share them in the comment box down below. And if you enjoyed this video, then please consider leaving a like and supporting the channel. But that's it from me, so as always, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.